Riley Gaines, who got her star to fame by finishing in fifth place in the Olympic trials or Olympics, and one of the competitors was a trans person by the name of Leah Thomas. And Riley Gaines took on this crusade of, hey, it's not fair that a trans person was allowed to compete in the swimming event that caused me to finish in fifth place, because if it wasn't for that person, I would have finished in fourth place. And to me, fourth place is better than fifth place, right? That's her line of questioning. And plus, that's her line of thinking, excuse me. And also, she's not only just speaking up for herself, she's speaking up for others, right? Because the person who finished second place probably would have won the race. So she's also speaking for that person, right? Apparently. So she became a conservative superstar because she spoke out about these issues that are now deemed culture war issues that you're going to hear the right wing bring up every time there's an election cycle, because they need it works so well for them in 2024, right? I mean, literally, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the trans issue, and it was all over the place. I mean, you turn on a YouTube video, every ad was about trans. You would have thought that half the country was trans. That's how much you heard about it in 2024. You literally would have thought that. Like, if you had never been on Earth and they just dropped you in the U.S. on, like, at some point during like 2024, and they said, "Hey, here you go, welcome to the United States," you would have thought that every other person you ran into was probably trans. That's how much this issue took up the oxygen in the political space. Um, but anyway, so that's the person. That's the a person who had a big impact on Donald Trump getting elected president, at least from the culture war standpoint. Played a role. I'm not saying that was the main role, but that activism allowed Donald Trump to run on this issue so heavily that he was able to win the election for many other reasons as well. But that was a big deal. So with that being said, so Riley Gates came out and she criticized Donald Trump for posting up a photo of him pretending to be Jesus or God or whatever. So Trump responded and said Trump said he wasn't a fan of hers, um, which is pretty interesting because Trump seemed to have liked what Riley Gaines was about, at least at the early portion of it. But early Monday on X, uh, Riley Gaines had said she couldn't understand why Trump posted the image, asking, "Does he actually like this?" She added that a little humility would serve him well, and that God shall not be mocked. And then when Trump was asked about it, Trump said no. He didn't listen to Riley Gaines. I'm not a big fan of Riley, actually. So when he took down the post, I guess they thought that he took it down because of her. But Trump said he didn't listen to Riley Gaines. He's not a big fan of her. So he's not a fan of Riley Gaines for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe he's not a fan of her because she finished in fifth place. And we know Trump doesn't like people who lose, right? That's kind of his motto. Like, the whole I like people who win. Maybe he saw Riley as someone who wasn't that bright. Remember, she also had that issue early on uh, when she was talking about the whole immigration thing with her and her husband, her fiance, whatever, was having visa problems. And so I don't know. It got straightened out, but I don't know if it was because of Trump or because of people close to Trump. But apparently, you know, whatever. But Trump says, he he's not a fan of Riley Gates. So Riley responded after hearing that. Of course, she goes, she loves the president and she's grateful that he's in the Oval Office. And she says she'll continue to support him and the America First agenda. Now, what that America First agenda is, who the heck knows? Because many people are complaining that there is no America First agenda. It's been abandoned. It's more like Israel first and others, according to the critics. And there she goes. At the end of the day, she do nothing for the approval of a man, and her purpose on earth is to glorify him in all we do. Talk about God. Truth social post missed the mark. It's now deleted. Amazing. So I guess she's taking credit for getting it taken down. Like, I don't know. Whatever. So anyway, so that was that response. And of course, let me see what the people are saying to her response. Let me look up Riley Gaines' tweet. See if we can find out. Now remember, Riley Gaines is connected to, I believe, Turning Point USA, at least according to the Twitter feed. She's a host of the Riley Gaines show on Fox News. So she did get a Fox News gig out of being finishing in fifth place in swimming. Um, so let's see what the people are saying about this, about her tweet. This person's wild. So someone said, all of this for a loser who doesn't even like you. You people are weak, pathetic cultists. May God have mercy on your idolatry. And then she responded back, says, has it ever occurred to you that I don't do what I do to be liked? If I did, I'd say that trans women are women. It's called moral conviction. You should try it sometime. So she snapped back at a couple people who called her out. Uh, so people pretty much are saying like she's in a cult because she still supports the guy who insulted her publicly. And there's a few other people that are calling her out saying, if you really respected Trump, you would have called him privately and made that and addressed to him like that. Now, I will say that Trump has been pretty consistent on his attacks on people who publicly call him out. Remember Tim Scott early on, who also put out a comment when about the whole monkey video with the Obamas. Tim Scott went on social media and he got called out for where he could have directly called Trump. I'm not saying that Trump is correct with his the way he's treating people. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that I do find it odd that all these people that are supporters of Trump, their first instinct is to go on social media and blast and criticize him in the public space. And I'm mostly talking about the people who can directly get to reach him, right? The people who can get to him and get a message to him, call him, whatever. These are the people who have decided to take the social media platform as a space to call him out to get traction. Now, on one hand, you're saying, yeah, good, this is what should happen. He should be blasted publicly. I agree with that. Um, Also, the reason why I'm criticizing this is because these are the same people that also in the comments, as I saw her mention in her comments, that she's not doing this for attention. She ain't doing this to be liked, but she's getting a lot of praise for it. And she knew that she would get praise for it because right now there is a full on everyone is like jump right now is like popular to as a conservative, at least in some of the conservative spaces, to pile on President Trump. Look, I don't care either way. I mean, they want to have an infighting, let them have it. I'm just pointing out the weird, the strangeness of this because you will say, "Hey, I'm not doing this for likes or clout," but then you literally doing it for likes and clout, right? Because if you could have called the president or had reached out to him directly or privately, you probably would have done that first. Now, if you were to get online and said, "Look, I tried to reach out to the president. I spoke to him. He says that he didn't believe he did anything wrong. I'm being transparent. I don't believe. I believe what he did was out of line. I spoke to him privately. He ignored my request. He dismissed what I said, and then you call him out publicly. You know that would look a little bit better to me. But I just think it's strange that if you built your brand and access off of being part of this brand, and then now everyone's like, oh yeah, it's cool now to just pile on him. You know, I can understand why a person would, you know, would attack people, right? So it's almost like you can almost understand why Trump is in defense mode now against all these people who once supported him. Now, like I said, whether you agree with what he did or not, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that he don't deserve to be criticized because he definitely does. He deserves to be crucified for the shit he's done. I'm just saying for the people who are close to him that are treating him that way, he completely is in the right to snap on them the way he's snapping on them because they're basically, doing him dirty in a sense. They're doing him dirty. But like I said, have at it. This is great. Uh, it's great for to watch. But in real time, I mean, Donald Trump is losing control of his movement in real time. We see it happen actively. And what could he do to get it back? There's a few things he could do to get it back. He either could fix uh, the economy to the point where all these people could afford to buy whatever they want, or he could double down on his racism and give the red meat to go on, right? Because those are the two things to be, or stop the war, right? If he stops the war and those three things, and he builds it up and he packages it as, oh, I stopped the war because of God talked to me last night and he told me to do the right thing. Like if he does something like that, I think they're all gonna be back on his graces because you tie it into religion. They like religion. They love that. It's like it's a cult. It's literally a cult. So that's pretty much what you're gonna see. They're disappointed with him, but they're not gone. I think people are while the movement is slipping, some of the key surrogates have disappeared, but it's not it's not gone, right? You still see pieces of it that is still there. People are still holding on to their life. And they're still defending him. I mean, you see some of the comments of some of these contributors on the conservative side, they're still defending what he's done. They're making excuses saying he didn't know or maybe he was thought he was a doctor. Like they're still defending him. So we're not at to the point. Yeah, I think the midterm is going to determine if everyone jumps ship. If Republicans lose the midterm, like they lose the House and the Senate, then you're going to really see his power diminish. And I said this kind of before the election. I said if Trump got elected and somehow there was a scenario where the Democrats would have had the House and the Senate, people would have jumped ship, or he'd have got one of the two, or if he would get to do whatever he want in his first 2 years, but at those second 2 years is where he's gonna run into problems after 2026. So depending on what happened in 2026 with this election coming up, it's going to determine how much power Trump has. And if Democrats take the Senate and the House, Trump is done. He is so done. He won't be able to do jack squat. They're gonna, he's gonna. He ain't gonna have no other choice. What is he gonna do? The only other option is to come up with some kind of illness and step down and walk away. That would be his only option, to be honest, because he'd be done. He won't be able to do nothing. Now that's assuming that Democrats would be tough enough, and the right Democrats get elected, right? Because you get the weaklings in there, Trump will still run havoc and do what he wants. But I think Trump has a plan. I think he has a backup plan. I don't think he's just gonna allow the chance of him sitting idle for 2 years after 2026 and waiting for his term to run out. I don't see that happening. I think he's gonna come up with something. But only time will tell. We'll see. We will see.